Hey everyone, it's John here with another episode of e-commerce with John, and today I'm joined by my great friend Ben Knegendorf, who many of you will know, a lot of you may not, but Ben is one of my early e-commerce buddies. He's been involved with a bunch of successful businesses, been a part owner of an 8-figure business, consulted a whole bunch of others, and currently runs his own pet supplements brand. Ben, how are you?
I'm awesome, man. Thanks for the kind intro. We do go way back, man. It's interesting to see who's still around. There was some, yeah, I think me, you. I think I talked to Corey back then. And there's a few, Brian, a few other people that I connected with early in the beginning. And I would say a lot of people have, who knows where they are, if I'm honest. So I'm glad that we still connect, right? We have our standing call every Friday or Saturday morning for you. And I've really liked that. That's been one of the highlights of 2020 for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I had a chat with Isaac Smith the other day in here as well. He was also, one of the guys from around when we started, and it's pretty interesting, I think, to talk, because we all started kind of with the same type of business, same type of e-commerce business, and that sort of thing. I think it's pretty interesting to see what we're like seven years later, roughly, and seeing where everybody's gone. Because Isaac's gone off on a completely different path. He's still involved with e-commerce, but like he's got a whole bunch of new different things going on. You've, been in a bunch of different directions as well. We're all still sort of around that e-commerce space, but I think that's sort of been a fun thing to watch. And I think it's good for anybody who's listening or watching, who's sort of earlier in their e-commerce journey. Keep an open mind, I think, because a lot of opportunities, may come your way that aren't exactly what you first planned doing when you got to this.
For sure. And you're going to meet people that open up doors you probably didn't even know existed, right? So like early on in my journey, going to that very first Dropship lifestyle retreat, to have Michael Coughlin and Nathan Richer find me, right? My ex-wife and I, we would sit at a different table for dinner or lunch, and those two would just come find me, right? And I had no intention of joining forces with them. I was going to buy their course that day with Felipe, another OG, and they, just kind of picked me out of the woods and, hey man, give us some money and we'll bring you 10% of a adult coloring book business that we think is going to take off, right? I could not have predicted that opportunity would come along, and I got to sit back and watch a whole nother business model just happen in front of me. And it occurred my whole life, like just meeting the right people. I can't encourage enough the relationships to build along the way, right? Like Corey and I became partners on a dropshipping store, and then Easy Commerce Wins on happenstance. It was supposed to be me, him, Clint Parker, who I'm sure some people know, and Ernest Epps, I think, was supposed to be on the call. We were going to have this, mastermind together, and Clint bailed and Ernest bailed, and it was just me and Corey on a call. And by the end of the call, he's like, here, take half my business. Let's do everything you just told me I should do. And so, yeah, man, you can't predict where you're going. You just got to go. You just got to start, because it's amazing what can fall into your lap, really.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you reckon for you? I think we talked a little about this last time I had you in here. And how did most of those sort of connections and relationships happen for you? Like, where did you meet those people? All of these people. I mean, how do you find that happens mostly for you?
Yeah, I think if I knew that, I would be a rich man, right? I would put myself in those situations more often. I can speak to what's happened in the past, right? So in the beginning, I don't know if it's still popular or not. Honestly, I've been part of the dropship lifestyle community in quite some time now, but like there was just the forum. There was no Facebook group. I was active in the forum. Like I had questions, right, that I wanted answers to, and not even questions on what to do, more like somebody give me permission that I'm doing the right thing. Somebody tell me no one's in my niche or whatever we were all worried about back then. And so I would reach out to Laura and Anton, and I think Johnny was big back then. And like, just I was active, and that's how I met you. You were active. You were sharing what you were doing. Clint Parker was sharing what he was doing. I think Corey was sharing what he was doing. And so that was the initial one, right? And then I definitely could not have afforded to go to the Dropship Lifestyle Retreat the first time. I've told this story before, but we went, my ex-wife and I went to her parents' cabin, and on their table was magazines, just a bunch of magazines. And I picked one up while I was waiting for dinner, and I opened it up to a page, and I wish I would have saved it. And it was a Capital One ad that said, for the time you traveled to Thailand and went to that beach where they filmed that movie. And it was like everything we were going to do in Krabi. And I was like, this is a sign, right? And so we bought our plane tickets on a credit card with money we didn't have, and then sales started rolling in. And I went there, right? And then the whole Michael Coughlin and Nathan Richer happened while we were there to join the adult coloring book brand. I also met Justin Cook from Empire Flippers while I was there, who convinced me to sell my business, right? And that changed my life. It ended up getting me fired from my job, and which was a good thing. That's where I met Clinton Parker for the first time. I recorded the first episode of Take Consistent Action podcast back then, if anybody remembers that old podcast. And Clint and I came together. We started Ecom Fire from there. That's where I met Len. Put yourself out there. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Everything that makes me uncomfortable, I just continue doing, I guess. And it sucks initially. Usually it sucks in your head before you do it, and then it works out okay. And I wish I knew the key, though, John, of which situation is going to be the right one to put yourself into.
Well, I mean, I think part of it is just being, active in some way around, other people. So, there was a forum that was popular at the time. I don't know if it's still popular either, but at the time it was, and we were all interacting there, and that's how we came across each other, and going to events where you can that are relevant to somewhat, or maybe even completely not super relevant to what you do right now. Just making sure you're constantly making yourself available to the world. I think it's easy, when you're a kind of solo entrepreneur to find yourself shut in a bit, you know what I mean? And like not as out there. And particularly if you're not in the US. So obviously everybody knows I'm in Australia, and there's a lot less of that sort of community over here. So a lot of my connections came from being very, very active online, in online spaces, whether it's Facebook groups or forums or things like that. Certainly I think you've got to do it. And I think it's, it keeps you sane, but it also opens up a lot of opportunities if you're just making yourself available to other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think nowadays, look, I've paid to put myself into a lot of those rooms. I would definitely recommend that. If you want to go spend some money, go to conferences whenever they come back. Join paid masterminds. I would highly recommend that. I might even start one of my own just to try to get more of those people together. But for a free resource that I think is very valuable right now, it's just Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter. Go follow some of my guests recently on my show. You'll get plugged into DTC Twitter, as they call it. It's almost like its own section of Twitter. Whatever you're into, you can find that. But for this, it's e-commerce, and some amazing people on there. Huge businesses. A lot of just people helping out in every aspect of that. I can't recommend Twitter enough right now, just to get out there and get your name recognized. Get into that conversation and start building those relationships.
Wow. I never thought I'd hear somebody say I can't recommend Twitter enough right now.
Dude, I love Twitter, man. Honestly, I love Twitter. But I'm a baseball junkie too, right? So anything you're into, there's 100% a section for it, right? I can have just when the Twin season is going on and I log in, I'm going to see a ton of Twin stuff. Then I'm going to see a ton of e-commerce stuff, right? And I might see some Bitcoin stuff. Just whatever you're into, you're going to find. It's almost like Reddit, kind of, right? Like you're going to find your own little community. The internet's amazing, man. Whatever you're into, you can find your people.
Hell yeah. Yeah, totally. It's awesome. Awesome, dude. Well, we just we're at the start of 2021, and I had a chat with Isaac about this last week, obviously, on the top of a lot of people's minds is kind of what, getting themselves set up for the year. Everybody's keen to be in the best place for the coming year. Have a big year, all that sort of stuff. What do you do? End of the year, start of a new year. What do you do? Do you have any, I guess, practices, processes, things you like to do, either personally or for your businesses, to sort of, get yourself set up, either mentally or whatever for the coming year?
Yeah, there's a few pieces there, right? And I'm going to try to move this notes app right over John's face, so I'll just see my beautiful face.
Yeah, you don't have to say, man.
You like that? No, you sent this over, and I had to think about it a minute. If I'm honest, on the personal side of things, I suck at this. Like, I really, really suck. And I think I was raised at a young age of, like, my dad, whether it was his birthday, whether it was Christmas, whatever it was, he was like, just another day, right? He was kind of the grumpy, worked in the warehouse, life kind of sucks guy. And he just instilled in me that it's just another day, right? And so I never really looked at like the new year as a chance to reinvent myself, that it was some magical day that we're going to flip the calendar. I'm going to feel anew, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I never really dove into that in my personal life. In business, it's been a little bit different. For my businesses, traction has been a game changer. And so that's not just necessarily the new year. This is something quarterly that we did in previous businesses that I can't recommend enough. I just had my quarterly meeting with my partners in the pets brand, and traction really forces you to look through some questions in your business. I actually have the worksheets right here, right? So there's something called the Vision Traction Organizer. You can find this online. It's a PDF that's free, but really helps you nail down your core values, your core focus, your 10-year target, like your big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And then what does your three-year picture look like? And then what does your 1-year picture look like? And then bring it back down to rocks, which you set quarterly. Look, it's probably similar to a lot of frameworks that are out there, if you're honest, but it's the one that works for me. If you've never read the book, start there. Just go buy Traction, the audiobook or the book or whatever, and get started. I think you'll see why this should be implemented in your business. So that's my business side. And then on the personal side, John, again, I suck at this, but I recently heard one from Sean Purry, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's from the My First Million podcast. And he put together like a framework that almost like, think of yourself like an app. And so he gave this exercise, which I sat down and did, and basically say when an app updates and you go on your phone and it says, Ben version 3.6, fix these bugs, and then now has these new cool features. So if you sat down and said, what are the bugs you want to fix? What's the bullshit habits you have from last year? And you're going to fix those bugs. And then looking forward, like you're going to add these couple new features. Really, that's the only exercise I did on the personal side this year, other than just setting some goals for health and wealth.
Yeah. Awesome. And I definitely recommend the Traction thing as well. I read that book some time ago now, but yeah, I was doing some of the bits of that, both sort of. Yeah, there it is, guys. If you're watching or listening, I'll put a link to it along with the show at some point. But definitely go out and read that if you've never checked it out. It's brilliant. But I was doing parts of it previously, but I think like I had set. I was always in the practice of setting longer term goals and shorter term targets and things like that. But I think that framework just took it a whole lot further for me, and just gave me a clearer process around doing that. And I like to do it both for, not just for business, which is obviously what it's most focused on, but I think you can use that same framework for yourself personally as well. And yeah, I like to go through a process. I mean, I think, I don't really see New Year as sort of a reinvention thing. I think that strays a bit too close to New Year's resolutions to me, which I dislike. Like I like to, I think of it constantly as just constant progress, constant development is what I'm aiming for. And so the last year just flows into the new one. But I do like to use that as a point to like review and just reassess where my progress is heading. If there's anything that I'm trying to improve that's not working, why is that? What needs to be tweaked, etc. And so yeah, I go through kind of a process where, I look at where do I think my weaknesses are, personally and that sort of thing. What do I need to change, in the coming year? What do I need to work on? What habits do I need to develop? That's been a big changer for me. Like working on the personal side of things, it's something I didn't really think about early on, but the longer you're in business, I think, and particularly when you're running the sort of business where, you're not running like a big company that has many people working in it who kind of carry the business. When you're working, more as an entrepreneur who's driving along smaller businesses, like your success is closely tied to how well you operate. Like as an individual, like if you're off your game all the time, shit just doesn't happen very well. And I certainly found that with myself when I started paying a lot more attention in more of a structured way to improving myself, whether it was the way I was thinking, how am I physically, how I was working, which obviously affects how you think and all that sort of thing. That's made a big difference to me. I think how I manage how I manage time, what habits I have around that, all these sort of things. Been a big difference for me in the last sort of 2 years, I think.
Yeah, I think it goes even deeper than that. I mean, this is the journey I've been on for the last year and a half. It's the inner game, right? We all have imposter syndrome, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I might. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? It's all like your brain can be your best friend. It can be your worst enemy, right? So somebody wrote in here, how much did visualization play a role in your success? It's something I work really, really hard on. One of my favorite books is Vivid Vision. I send it to all of my consulting clients right when I start, by Cameron Harold. It's a fantastic book. It's really short. If you read any book this year, go order Vivid Vision. It's fantastic. But that's, it has you look a year out, 3 years out, right? And really visualize, what does it look like to be in that room, wherever you are. Like, go sit in that space, and what are the words that are being used? What does your schedule look like? What's the office look like you're in? How many employees are sitting around you? Like, and you can do this for your personal life too. But you're right, man. It's the inner game, honestly. If
Yeah.
if you just do the basics in business, you're going to win. Most people just don't even do the basics, and there's no secret, there's no hack, there's no tactic John and I can teach you. It's all out there for free. You're just not doing it. And the reason you're not doing it is because something in your head is saying, what if I fail, or I'm not good enough, or whatever reasoning you're fighting with in your head. If you can get over that, you're going to win. That's it. Just do the work. It's simply do the work.
Yep. Right on. And I definitely second the Vivid Vision book. That's a great book. I read that a couple of years ago too, I think. And yeah, visualization for me, I do it now. If you had have asked me when I first started in business, did I do it? I would have said, no, that's stupid. Honestly, I didn't go in for any of that sort of personal work, inner work stuff, but I would have been totally wrong. I gave it, at some point I convinced myself to give it a go, and it was awesome. So I have that, like my own Vivid Vision, document that I do, and I read that all the time, and I think about it. So visualization for me does work. I don't know that necessarily, a lot of people say it doesn't work very well for them, and some very successful people say it doesn't work for them as well, that I've heard in the past. But for me, I'm a firm believer that if you don't think you can do something or you can get somewhere, well, you ain't going to get there, right? So the visualization, and that's all about, putting yourself, as you say, putting yourself in that place, feeling it, imagining it, seeing it in your mind, and believing that it's actually, developing the belief that it's actually possible for you to be there. And I think for me that's important because, yeah, if you can't do that, then you just succumb more and more to things like imposter syndrome and, the opposite belief, which is that, you want to be there, but you don't think you can be there. You don't believe you can be there. And that just eats away at you, I think. The longer you experience that, it's really subtle, but I think it really gets to you.
Yeah, that Henry Ford quote is one of my favorites. Whether you believe you can, whether you believe you can't, you're right. That really hits home for me, as far as I was in my own way for a long time. And it's funny, like, you don't ever get over it. You just go around it. Like, it doesn't go away. You just go around it, and you'll find, like, for me, those voices came up because when I was younger, people told me I couldn't, right? Or I wasn't normal. That was the favorite phrase that always bugged me. And I had this chip on my shoulder, and that's what got me to where I am. Now what, right? Like, all that stuff is still there. Every day I wake up and have the same demons I always had. And so it's been a weird journey to push through that and go around it and get the work done. And now be in a place of like, okay, I got here. Now where do I go from here? Right? Where do a chip on your shoulder is only going to get you so far, but that might be enough to get you around the mental BS, as I call it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think you've got to believe that you're going to get yourself there. I think a lot of people sort of think that, they're going to get into business and they're going to have a great idea or something, and it's just going to happen. Or if they follow somebody else's path, because they took a course or something like that, that it's just going to happen. When the reality is, that's only part of the picture. You've got to be able to have the be able to drive yourself to wherever it is you want to go, and that's the primary motivator, I think. And if you can't see where you're going, or you don't believe you can get there, then it's really hard to push yourself there. So awesome. So 2020's gone. I know a lot of people breathed a sigh of relief about that. I thought it was a pretty good year for me, and I know you did some pretty cool things in the last year in business at the very least, as well as personal things. You got married, things like that. Again, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to e-commerce at least, but you can throw in anything else if you want to, what are your 3 best or favorite things that you did, learned, or experienced in 2020?
Yeah, you sent over some hard questions today. I'm not gonna lie. So I spent some time. I spent some time thinking about this one of like things I learned or did or experienced in 2020. It was such a weird year, right? I think a lot of people might have experienced, the downsides of this, right? A lot of brick and mortar businesses can't operate, right? The man is telling them you're not safe to operate. Even in my own family, my wife had 2 close family members pass away from COVID, and so I've seen one side of things, and on the other, it's honestly been an amazing year for me, and so it's hard for me to have some empathy for one side and also be like really excited for where I'm going. So in 2020, I exited my biggest business for a nice sum of money. Also, my other partner Brian and I, we decided to split ways just recently, right at the end of 2020. I actually just did a podcast on that. If you want to go hear how that looked. And at the same time, I got married. I've got a kid on the way. We spent COVID doing some work of other sorts. So it's been an interesting year. And then to my very first point, I wrote down, it's about people, right? You can't do this alone. So that business I exited for a nice sum, those 2 guys consulted with me in the beginning. I helped them hit $250,000 in sales in their first 3 months. We remained friends for the rest of that year. They hit $1 million in that year, brought me on board. We hit $11 million in revenue 2 years later, right? And then it was time for them to kind of go on their own. They said they were ready, so we split ways. But we couldn't have done that without all 3 of us. There's just no way. And then Brian and I, the things we've been able to do, it's like that. And so I met a couple people at ecommerce Fuel, another conference I like to go to. I'm a big fan of what they're doing over there, which got me more into DTC Twitter we were talking about earlier, which brought me into this group of guys playing poker during COVID from all over the country. And it turned out to be just a group of guys that I don't know if I would have ever hung out with them if I didn't have this experience. And we became not just poker buddies, we became really good friends. And we have conversations that the world fucking needs right now in that room. And we don't have ego and we don't have anything attached to it. We just have really good conversations. And then all of a sudden we as a group invested in a business. We joined the seed round for Dibbs.io, Dibbs.io. It's they're fractionalizing sports cards, which I think is the future, which is fascinating to me. And then I brought partners on to the Pets brand. I hired my copywriter, Leanna Patch, and Leighton Taylor from Envision.io reached out and said he wanted to do some operating. And so I brought him in, right? It's all about people, whether it's through the relationships you build that bring some of the experiences we've talked about, or whether you want to bring your dream or your business to the world, you're going to need people. You can't do it all alone. So that was one thing I learned this year is, people.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. And I think you've got a lot of great experience sort of and I have a feeling we've talked about this in here before, but you've got a lot of great experience, I think, with, working in various forms of partnership with a whole bunch of different people. Actually, in a lot of your businesses now, you've had some form of, partnership where it was a large form or just smaller portions of your business. And I think it's a lot of people. It's something that a lot of people struggle with a little bit, like giving away. It's never giving away, but like losing control, I guess it is, obviously, over part of their business or a large part of their business. What words of advice would you have around that for people? Like, I mean, this is obviously not something, well, you might struggle with it, but you've obviously found a way to sort of move past it.
Yeah, that's a deep question too, right? So the number one question I would ask you, if you are thinking about partnering, does that person that you're partnering with bring something to the table to change your business? Or are you simply looking for accountability because you struggle with some of that mental BS we were talking about before? Is there a worry that you can't do it alone? Is there a worry that you're not good enough to do it, or that you might fail if you don't have this, or you just need someone to like hold you accountable to do the work? Again, just get the basics done. You're going to have a business. That's the first question I would ask. Beyond that, Man, I made some mistakes partnering, that's for sure. Some of them have been great. Some have been less than great. Some partnerships I've been in, I brought money to the table and I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was told to sit back and do nothing. Turn into a decent payday is what it is. So they come in all forms. I've definitely learned the hard way on some things, but I think, again, the first question you have to ask is, can they bring real value to your business? And then you have to ask, what does that relationship look like in an ideal world? What does it look like? And oftentimes, let's say John and I were going to partner right now. We're probably really happy. We're really excited about the idea. Right then and there is when we should file for divorce and write out what exactly that looks like. If we were to get divorced, what does this look like? Get all of your divorce paperwork done while you're happy, excited, because someday you're not going to be. And, it might not be you, it might be your partner, but you need to know exactly what that looks like for you to leave the business or them to leave the business. Or if it's your business and you're bringing them in at a small percentage, what does that look like to kick them out if you need to kick them out? Get all that stuff out of the way first. But I don't know. Partnerships are great, man. It's about people. I think, again, so, the last one that I just exited, that was fantastic. There was somebody who really liked more of the admin side, the numbers side, the CEO side. And there was more of a marketing guy. And then I kind of sat back and just got to design strategy, which is where I think I'm really good at. And so they had me sit in the right seat, and that, who would have known a three-way partnership could work that well? It did, right? And I've been in others where it's just two people and there's too many cooks in the kitchen, to use their own words. Two bullheaded alpha people who want to set the strategy, it usually doesn't work well together. And so I think this last one I did a little better. When Leighton and I came together on this pets brand, we actually went to one of the tools from Traction is to find the visionary and find the integrator. And so we went and took the test for visionary integrator. I was so far visionary and Leighton was so far integrator. And then our weaknesses, like, we just fit together like a puzzle piece. And it's been fantastic so far, the 4 or 5 months we've been together. So I can't recommend doing that enough. Again, go read Traction. The other book is Rocket Fuel, that really talks to you how the visionary and integrator work well together. I think if I was going to partner again in the future, that's what I would do. I would try to find another integrator in whatever business I'm in, because that's just, I'm not get down and dirty, work my face off. I don't think I ever was. And there is people like that just want to look at a to-do list and just knock it off. Like, they love being told what to do, where I would love to just honestly, walk on the treadmill or walk outside or stand in the shower and just let my brain wander and dream up some of the ideas I come up with.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's really good advice. I love it. And so that was people for 2020. What do you think is people? Anything else?
Yeah, so there was a few pieces in there, right? The Twitter that brought me to that group and started Poker, which led to investments. There was goodbye to great partners and hello to new great partners. And then the third part of that also involved people is not everything's rosy. I think there's too much rosy on these things. I failed. I hired a kid who I really, really had high hopes for. I failed him as a leader. I didn't set him up to win. He didn't win also. But more importantly, I failed. I didn't come to the table to hire this kid the way I should have. I didn't come to work every day and have things laid out for him, and so I failed. And it cost me a pretty penny to have the kid on for 6 months. I trained him to a point where I was pretty happy with him, but I knew he wasn't the right guy, and I probably held on too long, if I'm honest. So I don't know. I just wanted to throw a failure out there too, that you got to find the right person and get them in the right seat. And I think I found the right person. He wasn't in the right seat. I set him up to fail by not being prepared myself, and so I don't know. The people go both ways,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the great thing about people. So was that like a local person, or this is this person you hired? Was it a local person, or was it just like someone in another?
Yeah, so he was remote. Literally going through the process again. I just hired someone new this week. He's actually local. He's actually a very good friend of mine who has been asking me for a very long time about starting and never took the dive, I guess. And he came to me and said, I put in my notice. I'm quitting my job. I will work for this rate, almost like an apprentice for 6 months. I think he's got the same talent. But this time I'm not going to let him down, right? Like I think I failed as a leader last time, and so. But I just want to share that people change everything about it's relationships and the people that are going to help you grow. And I failed as a leader. I just wanted to put that out there that oftentimes we get on these things and we talk about these huge wins and these 8-figure businesses and these big exits, and I don't think we talk enough about things that suck. So I failed. I wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. No, thanks. And yeah, you're always failing. Everyone. I mean, I fail all the time in many of the same ways as well. So I can probably think of last year at least 3 or 4 people that I hired, and yeah, it cost a bit of money at the time, but didn't quite, just overcommitted myself to them to too many people, and some people just fell by the wayside, which probably sucked for them, and something that I don't feel great about, because they were probably may have actually worked out quite well, and they obviously took the time to be involved in that sort of thing, and but that was just, I think, I'm always doing. That's one of the things I learned from 2020, probably more earlier in the year rather than later. But I'm always terrible at overcommitting myself. You know what I mean? Like trying to do too much, bringing too many people on too quickly, and not actually taking the time to put in the required work to get them, the support they need and where they need to go. So I think that's one of the things I learned as well, is to in the short term slow down. And I guess it goes back to that thing that, that saying that people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in, say, 3 years or 10 years or whatever, which is actually what I use some of that traction stuff to keep me under control on, is, saving the big crazy things for the 10 years or the 3 years or something like that, and just really reducing the amount of things I try to do in like a short 12-month period of time or 3 months or whatever.
Gino Wickman's the author. Phoenix, I see your question there. Hey, just to add a point, this is a win. Like, I don't know why more failures aren't talked about. Like, you learn way more in failures than you do from winning. Oftentimes, most times, you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're trying to figure it out every single day. I know that's how life feels like for me. And so when you fail, you learn a ton, right? Like, it's a good thing that you fail. So I just want to put it out there that I suck at some things. So it's okay if you suck at some things too.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's challenging sometimes, but like talking about your failures, or at least even if you're not talking to somebody else, recognizing them yourself and spending a bit of time thinking about them, and what can you learn from that? I mean, that's obvious, a big part of what separates people who are, who experience some level of success and people who don't, right? I mean, I think for a lot of people, the reason they don't change their circumstances is because they're not actually able to look at what they tried that didn't work, or just what's not working, in their life, and taking any action on that. So I think if you've got the ability to do that without, like being honest with yourself without beating yourself up too hard about it, which is not the point of the exercise, it can make a radical difference to what you're doing, for sure.
Yeah, beyond that, like, part of the reason I failed is systems. I don't know about you, John, but when I was an employee, I fucking hated systems, right? I hated being at the bottom and like, this is how things are done, and above that, this is how things are done, and there's no changing it. They're like so set in their ways that, like, the rebellious Ben and me, fighting against the norm or whatever, like I hated systems. And that was part of my failure, is I just didn't document everything I did. I tried to get everything out of my head. So I specifically hired this guy to help me with some clients I had for SEO. And it's all in my head. Anything you ask me about e-commerce SEO, I'm going to answer really quick. I know it's all in here, but getting it out and getting it systematized and, like, a step-by-step process, it sucks doing it. I have some severe resistance in doing it, but it's been a godsend. Every time I do it in a portion of my business, it's great, because then I can literally just hand it off to somebody else to execute on these things. So systems, man. Dial in your systems. If you haven't even started that, start documenting everything you do every day, step by step by step, so that like a 4-year-old could follow it. Yeah.
And the longer you leave it without doing it, the harder it gets, right? Because you build up more and more and more and more in your head, and the job of taking it out of there and putting it onto paper or on a video or whatever it might be just seems more and more and more daunting. And so, of course, that circle repeats.
And then when your employee raises their hand and says, your system sucks and I think I can make it better, listen to them. Let them rewrite the system to make it better. Don't stand in their way. I think, that bureaucracy of the big companies I worked for in the past, don't be like that. You don't have to be like that. Get it out of your head, get it on paper, hire somebody and let them reinvent it.
Yeah. I mean, I was the same. I mean, one of the big drives for me leaving my career, which, involved work that I actually didn't mind. And, I had a 6-figure salary and all that sort of thing, wasn't so much finance. I mean, it was largely driven by time, but a lot of it was just like, I just got sick of being fairly senior in the place where I was working, in the industry I was in, etc., but still having people on top of me that were like completely inflexible, like, and doing things in your job that were obviously working better than what other people was doing, and showing that to people above you, and they're saying, oh no, we're just not going to do that for no fucking reason whatsoever, really, other than we don't understand it. Right. That just used to drive me crazy. So yeah, systems need to exist, and most people actually need them. The reason that people like you and I don't need them is because we're entrepreneurs. We're actually
problem solvers.
Yeah, we don't work well within that construct, but a lot of people do. But I think it's important when you've got systems that you allow the people who are working within those systems input into them as well. I mean, that's the worst thing, I think. When you put a system in place, you put people in it to work, and they say, hey, if we change this one or two things, it would actually work much better. And you don't listen to that, or you don't recognize that, or, I think that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing for somebody who's working inside your systems or working for you, is not giving them the opportunity to have some level of control over that. And that's hard to do sometimes, once again, because it means you're giving up a little bit of control. But a lot of the people who I've spoken to who are hugely successful with things like outsourcing and that sort of thing, they give a lot of input to the people they're hiring to actually shape their processes, their systems, their SOPs, all that sort of stuff. You got
to give them ownership so that they so they have ownership. And then number two, you just said we're entrepreneurs. We're fucking crazy, man. I bet anybody listening to this, you can relate. You're insane. And employees aren't. There's a reason you're not an employee. There's a reason or maybe you are and you're trying to get out. We're not like other people, and that's okay, right? And so when we document something, likely, I don't know about you, but I call it like RAM. Like my processing power is fast, right? Like I get through stuff quickly. Some people don't, right? And so if they want to change it, they're likely changing because it doesn't make sense, or it could be done better, or you're not thinking of the fastest way. Or nowadays there's a new SaaS tool that can do this much quicker, and we don't need to do this manually, right? And so, listen, for sure, listen.
Yeah, totally. All right, so leaving 2020 behind, 2021, what are you looking forward to? What's lighting you up in the e-commerce world? What are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to trying, doing?
Yeah, I took this question in a little bit different direction. My number one answer is traveling. My God, do I want to get out of Wisconsin? Actually, the family and I are packing up. We're going to Florida for 1 month, just simply moving our family to a beach house for a month, just to get away, just to have a different experience, get out of the snow. And so I'm looking forward to that. But honestly, I like to travel. I traveled a ton in the past. I would go to where that other company was located in Charlotte. I would go there often. I would go see Brian in Denver. I would go to San Diego for a mastermind, or Utah for a mastermind. I like to travel. And so if we get back to some semblance of normal in 2021, and yes, I know, John, you're in Australia. It's all on us. We got to figure this shit out. We're the crazy ones that just don't understand what the hell we're doing. I hope we get it figured out, because I enjoy traveling. For the last 4 years, I've gone to Thailand for like 3 weeks every year. I really enjoy that, just disconnecting, also being on the other side of the world, and like you don't get pinged all day long. Your phone's not going crazy. You just get to, think, which is what I like to do most. So, travel's number one. I got quite a few things on this list, but travel is number one.
Oh, dude, I'm right there with you. I actually want to come and see you guys. To be honest, I mean, in 2020, I actually wanted to do a live event over there in the US towards the end of the year. And of course I had to pull that plan early in the year because all of our international travel shut down. But I still want to do that in 2021, man. So I'm like, fingers crossed we can get something happen, pull something together. And, there's just so many so many like events that I wanted to go over to in the US. So man, I'm rooting for you guys. You know, whatever you got to do, get it sorted, man. I want to come over there.
Yeah, I mean, I had similar, right? Last December, I was sitting in a pool in Bangkok. I went right after a mastermind that was pretty deep. I went by myself for 2 weeks and just walked in Chiang Mai, and then I stayed in Bangkok for a few days. And I wrote out my 2020, and in that was I wanted to start a mastermind. I wanted to do 2-day intensives that led into the mastermind, and I was sold. Like, this was my idea. And then COVID was like, yeah, fuck you. Like, yeah, shut it down. So like between, not being able to do what I'd like to do, which is really, I want to help more people. But also like, I love conferences. E-commerce Fuel conference. I'm sad that there won't be one in a couple months. I want to be there. I want to see all those people. I'd love to, head over to the East Coast and visit that kid that just commented. Kellen's a great dude. I'd love to go see him. And I'm a baseball junkie. You can see there's not many scratched off up here. I'd like to go see all of those ballparks. Like, there's so many things I want to do, man. I don't like the situation we're in, and my feelings about what's going on over here. So maybe I'll come see you. I'll sit through the quarantine and just live in Australia.
Hey, I'd recommend it. I think I live in the best place in the world. So,
yeah. Look, further than that is, man, I've got a few things here. I think you're gonna like a few of them. I'll save some of them. But the next one on my list is routine. So I used to own a website called Take Consistent Action. That was the name of the podcast. Is right. I still own it, actually. Maybe I should do something with it, but it rings true in e-commerce. Consistent action always wins, always. So whether you're trying to get healthy, whether you're trying to be a better wife or husband, whether you're trying to be a better mother or father, whether you're trying to be a better business owner, it's simply showing up every day. Literally just show up every day and you're going to win. And then the basics are all you need. And I said this earlier, like, they're all out there. My podcast comes out today with a kid named Chase Diamond. He's got a wonderful course on email marketing. It's the foundation. And honestly, it's not that difficult what he's got in this course. I like it. I like his course, but it's not that difficult. It's just, you're not doing it. If you have one abandoned cart email, if you have no browse abandonment email, if you have no opt-in with emails behind it, taking people on a journey, if you don't have 10 blog posts answering the most common questions around your product, like what are you doing? Like, that's the basics that you should have done. And all of this information's out there. Again, it's on YouTube, whether you want to learn email marketing, whether you want to learn remarketing, whether you want to run simple ads, it's all out there. You're just not doing it. And so that's big for me, of something I want to get on. Like, I think I've done very well on the business side of things, but it's been at the expense of my health. And 2021 is the year I'm not going to make the Billie Jean promise and say I'll have a 6-pack by the end of the year, but I want to get healthy. I see this picture of my mom on my wall every day. She died at 47 of a completely clogged heart. So I'm well on my way to that. I ate like shit as a kid. Like, that's all we knew. We ate out of a box. We were poor. And so I've changed some of those habits, but I haven't changed them all. And so I want to build the routine, outside of business, and really change me, right? I've got a kid on the way. I've newly married again, and so just routine, man. Consistent action is going to win in that too. But I have to build the system that I'm going to live inside. I have to build the rules I'm going to follow.
Yep, that's awesome, and I'm 100% like on that. In fact, this month in my Build, Sell, Grow, Repeat program, that's literally what I'm taking people through is 3 things: developing self, consistency, and habit, right? Which you could also sort of put routine in there. So, man, I've been banging on about this for ages. Like, most people I see who aren't making the progress they'd like to make or getting the results they'd like to get, who have been doing it for a little while, it's rarely that they don't know what they need to do. Like, honestly, it's rarely that. It's usually that they're just not doing it consistently, or they're avoiding things that they know they need to do consistently. It's such a big thing. Like, you're right. I mean, e-commerce, marketing, none of it is rocket science, right? You and I are not the smartest dudes on the planet. Nope. We've made it work more because we've just been, right, we're just going to go at it until it works, until it's done. And so, yeah, for anybody who's listening, like, if you think you know That's the right word. If you think you're doing the right thing and you're not seeing the results or whatever, I suggest people just look at, sometimes you've got something wrong, like a part of the tactics wrong, or maybe your strategy's a little bit off. But for so many people, it's just they haven't given it time. You know what I mean? So you see it a lot with SEO. I mean, I get people all the time who are like, oh, I tried SEO for 2 weeks and I didn't see any results, so I stopped doing it. Or I sent 5 emails and I didn't make 20 grand off them, so I didn't do any more email marketing or something like that. It's just like, do it for another 3 months or 6 months and then let's talk. And I guarantee you'll have better results, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talked about failure, right? Fall on your face a few times, look stupid, send an email that says, hey, first name. Yep, I've done that before. Like, fail, like, screw up, and just go. Like, oftentimes you're not taking the action because you're just afraid of something, right? And I would just encourage you to fall on your face. I don't know. I've got 2 6-year-olds in this house, and I've watched them grow up since they were 2, and watching them, cry because they couldn't ride their bike and fall over in the driveway and scrape their knee, and like having to give these motivational talks to a kid has really changed my perspective on how I give these motivational talks to myself of like, what are you worried about? You're gonna fall over, and eventually you'll be riding the bike, so just keep going. I don't know.
That's it. Totally. Awesome. I love it.
So all right, next one's a little more e-commerce, right? So I want to build out the greatest, and I'm quoting this because I love to call it this, the love your customer sequence I can, right? So, all right, let's talk about the product I'm working on this for, right? So this is where's the camera here? This is some like hip and joint supplement for cats. It's very hard to see with the glare, and it's mirrored. Yep. That's actually my cat on there. He's probably somewhere right around here right now. This product actually means the world to me. Leo, who's my cat, was limping around the house. He would jump out of the window, like the bay window in front of me, and then, do his little cute cat walk towards me, but he was limping, and it broke my heart. And so when I found this product and it truly like stopped him from limping and returned him to being a kitten again, I knew I had to like spread the message, right? So there's my brand story of why this brand exists. And I do the same thing for dogs as well. And so I want to build out something I call the love your customer sequence. So I built one for a previous business that I can't talk about, and I think it's fucking fantastic, and I really want to share that one. And so I want to build them out for my business now that I've left that company. And so step one, you have to get the customer to actually use the product. So how many of you have ordered something online from Amazon or from some company? A big one for me was like Nui cookies when they were still around. My friend actually owns them. But Nui cookies was a keto cookie. And so when I gave this talk to him about this product, like how many, mostly females who ordered their product, how many females ordered that product, opened up the Amazon box, right, which is the dopamine hit they're all looking for, just opening it and seeing it, and then what? They just put it in the pantry, or they put it in the cupboard. Your email or your insert in that box should like jump out at them and be like, hey, don't put this in the pantry, don't put this in the cupboard. Go put it in your stroller so that next time you're at the park and Billy has boogers hanging out of his nose and you're stressed to the gore that you need to get, the kids to this next practice, you don't just run by McDonald's and pick up something fast. You have that cookie in your stroller or in your purse already, right? So step one, get them to use it. This has to be part of the love your customer sequence. So my thing is, getting them to actually give this to their cat, which is a nightmare in itself. Like, thankfully, most cats take this on their wet food. Some people, hold their cat and squirt in their mouth. If you're a cat owner, you know how much that sucks. And so I have to get them to, number one, put it in a place, like put it by the food, right? I wish I had this pulled up. Leanna, my copywriter from Punchline Copy, she wrote this whole sequence for me. But, get them to actually put it by the food so you remember to take it. Here's suggestions on how you can get the animal to take it, right? So step one has to be like get them to use the product. And then step two, I want to blow them away. So for this product, I want referrals. That is the hands down the best way for you to like make more sales in your business and help more people is by getting word of mouth marketing. If I go tell John this new SaaS product that I'm using on my Shopify store is awesome, is he going to go sign up? Fuck yeah, he's going to go sign up, or he's at least going to go look, right? Or Converse that with he's scrolling Facebook tonight and gets hit with an ad where maybe it catches his attention. Like, it's just so different on how you market your product, right? So referrals, word of mouth marketing is everything I'm shooting for. So my goal is to blow them away. So step one, I have to get them to actually use the product to be blown away. So then number two, the product needs to actually be good. Thank God this product works really, really well. And then number three, I want to give them more reasons to talk about me. So some of the ideas I've been writing out, and I meant to bring this in here before the show. We ordered a pickle with catnip in it. I have no idea why my wife decided to order a pickle. Turned out to be the greatest toy that's ever existed for my cat. We've had catnip things before, but for some reason, this pickle drives him bananas. Turns out the pickle's like exactly the size of this product. And so I'm just going to go source those pickles. Side note, it's PetSmart's, which is a huge like brick and mortar pet place in the United States. It's their house line, and so I'm gonna just happen to source it from PetSmart, and then get my products into PetSmart. I hope like that's the ideal scenario here. But if I can put a pickle in the box and then put a note in the box that said, we'll do it for reorders, right? And I'll put a pickle in there and say, we know your cat is already loving this product. We know they're more active. Here's a toy for them to play with, right? And then if you've already received this, here's another one because the product likely only lasts about 30 days. So I'll blow them away with a pickle, right? Can I follow that up with emails asking for a photo of their cat? Have them send me photos of their cat so that I can send it off to a company that makes handmade drawings of animals, right? And then mail them a handmade drawing of their cat. So every time a friend comes over and goes, wow, that's a cool handmade drawing of your cat. Who did that? Ben did it, right? They're going to come back to my business. Thank you, George Bryan, for that idea. Just spouted that off on my podcast randomly. And then just before this call, I interviewed my friend TC Poole. He owns inkedgaming.com, where they make custom playmats, custom mouse pads. They'll turn a photo into a puzzle. They'll turn a photo into a tapestry. And I was just like, we need to do business after this, right? Because if I'm getting all these photos of these animals, of course I'm going to make a puzzle out of. Of course I'm going to make a tapestry and get these reorders, right? And so I bet there's some people listening who are high-ticket dropshippers and they only focus on just getting that next sale and the next sale of that $3,000 item. You can do this too, because they still have friends who need the same item they just bought, right? Likely, whether you're serving a niche that is like interest-based or whether it's a need-based, it doesn't matter. They're going to know somebody also interested in this or also in need of this. And so do everything you can to blow them out of the water, give them the best products so that they go tell their friends that they bought it. And I wish I could share the other one because we did some really cool things that it wasn't just at home. Out in the wild, they would be using these things too, and they would be able to mention your brand. So, I see some people on your calendar. I've given you this same speech, buddy. You have. I hope I gave you some ideas on how you can pull this off. But I think this is available in every business. The ability to just love your customer and blow them away and serve them, which is why you should be in the business in the first place. And that's only going to lead to more and more sales.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's totally. Once again, it's something obviously for both of us. Thinking about my early on mindset with this stuff when I came into e-commerce, it was just my job is to sell shit, right? That's what I'm here to do. My job is to sell shit and make me money, And over time, I think, I'd assume that you were probably the same. But over time, my mindset now is I'm here to solve people's problems and make their life better. And part of that's going to be selling stuff, but I'm also going to try and help them out in other ways as much as I can, add additional value, however you want to call it, and just give them a better experience. And I think particularly if you're a high-ticket dropshipper or you're just, a smaller e-commerce business, even if you're making your own product, like you've got big competitors out there. We all do, your Amazons, your whatever it might be. Those businesses can't do it. Well, they can't do it and they won't do it. They're not set up and they can't go down to the level of the individual customer and ensure that they're getting the best experience that they can. And this is your edge, man. This is your edge. Make yourself kind of indispensable to the customer within that little niche that you inhabit, and that's, it's going to get you additional sales and all that sort of stuff. It's going to get you repeat business. And there are so many ways you can do it when you really think about it. I mean, you've just talked about a whole bunch that, you've noted down that is, that are relevant for your business. But, it's even simple stuff. Like I had some guy who's in one of my audiences, I don't know, the other day, asking me about reviews and getting more reviews and what's the secret to getting more. I said, just pick up the phone. It's that simple, right? This is a simple practice I teach people to do. Like for every customer, and I'm not suggesting the business owner necessarily does this themselves. It's completely something to a member of your team, your customer service team, is pick up the phone and call every single customer with a post-sales support call, right? Just touching base with them, checking in, saying, hello, how's it going? Have you tried the product? What do you think? Got any, And if that goes well, then at the end of it, say, hey, would you mind leaving us a review? I can take it right over the phone for you, right? Or I'm going to send you the link. Will you do it, etc. And, I started doing that in some of my businesses, and, just on reviews, the response rate went from like 10% to like 50%. You know what I mean? But it's just like, so many people, when you do that, you pick up the phone and you call them, they're like, wow, this has never happened to me before. Like, just something simple like that. Think about it. When, we all order tons of stuff online. When did you ever hear a business follow you up and actually check it, other than sending you a standard review email that's like, oh, do you want to review your purchase? When did you ever get a personal communication from an e-commerce business saying, you're awesome, thanks, is everything okay? Like, it happens. But for me, I buy everything online. I reckon 10% of the time I get that, or less, probably.
Yeah, my goal is to outcarry the competition. And I think this started a while ago. Back in the early DSL days, I remember bringing up in the forum of like, let's write an email post-purchase from the owner, right? Who knew it was only us there anyway, right? But like from the owner, is showing the owner actually cared. And you can build systems into this stuff, right? Like the love your customer I'm building out here, that's not going to take my time. What does take my time, I still do. I want to outcare my competition. So I know you're a big fan of Bonjoro, John. If you don't have Bonjoro in your business, sign up today. Bonjoro. I wish I had an affiliate link because I talk about it that much. But go sign up. And every single sale you get, like I have, I've got 4 or 5 to do when we get off this call. At the end of the day, I pull up my phone and I just say, hey, John, thanks so much for your business today during these interesting times we're all living in. I appreciate your business more than ever. And I say them by name. I mention like where they're from, if I have anything cute to say about the town they're in or something like that. I really make it a personal video, and you'd be shocked at the responses we get there of like, holy shit, like nobody does this. Thanks so much. And they're not going to bug you. They're not going to come back at you. So do that. And then, regarding the reviews, I would challenge everybody listening to, before you go for an ask yourself, are you giving it? Did you solve their problem, or did you just make a sale? And then you're like, please leave a review. Just do this for me. I'll give you an Amazon gift card or something. Like, solve their problems. Give them the best product in the world. Get them to use it. Make sure they're doing well, and then they'd be happy, to leave you a review. And so definitely think about, before you go for an ask, make sure you're fulfilling all of your duties.
Yeah, definitely. Bonjoro, 100%. It's one of the best tools. If I look back at the tools that I loved discovering last year, and I go through all sorts of different, right at the start of the year from memory. It was 2019. That's like one of my favorite tools, hands down, for sure. But there's other ways you can do the same thing. So there's a company I was just trying to bring. You can integrate with shop, and every time you take an order, they'll syncs up with them, and they'll send the customer in the post for you under your name, using whatever. The customer gets a handwritten thank you note. Once again, like, there's so many ways that you can kind of do something out of the box that most e-commerce businesses won't do for your customers, and really wow them. Give them something to talk about. Give them something to post. Give them something to tell them. Just you can do it. So well worth the time. If you're listening, sit down for a day, whatever, a few hours, whatever you got, and just actually turn your mind to that without distraction. Think about, are there opportunities for me to go a bit further, to do more for my customers, to go a bit further. I wouldn't say it's out of your way, but to do something that's out of the box, that other people aren't doing in your market. And I think the rewards are going to be easily there for you if you do. Cool.
Yeah, my goal is to blow them away every opportunity I possibly can, right? Like whether it's, delighting them in an email that they're getting, whether it's, a bonjoro after the call, whether it's this love your customer stuff where I really hope to be able to give them more gifts and give them reasons to share. I want to blow them away. I want to give them an experience they've never had before, because that's what marketing has become, right? It's you're now bringing this in your home. You're not going to a store. Before, when you go to stores like Dick's Sporting Goods in this country, like they have a rock climbing wall there, right? They have batting cages and stuff. So like that's an experience. Now it's all coming to the home, right? So how can you provide that experience to them through video, through email, through what's showing up in the box, the unboxing experience? Blow them out of the water with that experience. Give them a feeling associated with your brand, and they're going to want to go share that feeling with others.
Yep. Awesome.
I could geek on that stuff all day. I'll jump to the next point. I haven't been in the high ticket game all of 2020 after I left the big business, and then I was working with Brian Angel, Standing Destination, which was a nightmare. Again, my last podcast episode from last week on the BK show, Brian and I talk about our partnership ending, and we talk about the struggles we had with that business. So I really haven't been in the high ticket game, especially on my own. I haven't had my own business in quite a long time. I think the last one I had was a pellet grill store. And so I'm back. I bought a domain this right at the end of 2020 that has a shit ton of authority. I'm an SEO guy. I'm going to lean into that. So I'm excited for that in 2021, and just getting back into a game that I think look, it's going to sound arrogant, but I think I've solved it, man. High ticket dropshipping is fun and easy if you just do the work. So I'm excited to get back in there. I hope, someday John will get the homepage delivered to me that I bought from him 2 weeks ago. I think that'll show up, and I'll get off the ground here. just razzing you, buddy. But that's it. Yeah, there's three things, and then the fourth one for me is I want to get authentic e-commerce off the ground. It's a domain I've owned for a while. If you're interested in hearing anything I have to say about it, right now all it is a landing page, AuthenticEcommerce.com. Really, I want to teach again in some fashion, but I don't want to be the guru. I've been the guy for a while, and every time I met the guy, they're all nuts, man. They all have their own problems. They're all flying by the seat of their pants, and I just assumed everybody had it figured out. And so I don't want anybody to think I've got it figured out. I don't want to be the guru. I'm hoping to bring in experts. Some of them I've had on my podcast before, like Justin Christensen from Conversion Fanatics. If he can come in and create a CRO course, I think that's fantastic. My buddy AJ Yeager, who runs Praxis Metrics, if he can come in and create a data course, even better. Look, there's better people than me out there that know these subjects way deeper than I do. So I don't want to teach again, but I want to publish. I want to be the source of that. I want to help other Bens. There's a ton of people who, just like me 6 years ago, driving a forklift at a Walmart distribution center, knowing there has to be more to life. I want to help those people get started and get moving and grow your business. And I definitely think a paid mastermind behind that's probably where I'm going to go. Masterminds have just been so impactful on my life. The one-on-one interaction with people, the group setting, the relationships that are built out of there, I think they've changed me, and I want to do that for other people. So definitely look for a Ben Knegendorf or Authentic E-commerce or whatever it's going to be mastermind in 2021.
Nice. Sounds good to me.
That's a lot of shit, though. What about you, man? What are you looking forward to executing in 2021, John?
Probably some of the same things, but obviously slightly different versions of those. I think, where I'm looking forward to continuing on with, the Build, Sell, Grow, Peak program, which, is our e-commerce marketing, I guess, education and group coaching program. So it kind of has similarities to a mastermind in some ways as well. I've been doing that for over a year now. Is it over a year? Yeah, over a year now. Goes so fast. And I'm still loving that. So looking forward to continuing to build that out and making that bigger in 2021. As I mentioned, if it's possible, for travel reasons and that sort of thing, I'm really looking forward to getting people together in a room. I mean, once again, you mentioned that, just sitting down with people again who are, like-minded, share some of the same, interests and thoughts and that sort of thing. Even, leaving aside the whole learning experience that might happen there, just the ability to, face-to-face, sitting down and interacting with people, That's something that I've missed. It's something that I wanted to facilitate more and more for some of the people that that come to me for my students and clients. So if that can happen, that's definitely something that I'll be making happen.
It's invaluable, man. Those rooms are invaluable. Like this game is lonely. Like it's really fucking lonely. Yeah. How many people do you know that are as nuts as you are? You probably don't know that many, right? Like, heck, I didn't. You're 15, 18, 20 some odd hours away, right? Like, and it took the internet to bring us together, and so those rooms are crazy. If you can get I bet everybody that's in your course, if you got them all in a room, they're all going to be really good friends and probably for a lifetime. I can't speak highly enough of getting together in those rooms and paying to be in those rooms because you're going to get around people that are so much like you.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to be doing one in Australia. Of course, that may only be possible for Australians to attend, depending on what happens. And luckily, I know a bunch of those who would probably love to go to an event. But, I'd love to be able to come over and do one in the organised one as well at some point this year. So that would be a big goal for me if I can. I've got another online education program coming out. Dropship Breakthrough. You can't see it on this camera angle, but the logo's on the wall behind me. So that's gonna. I've steered away from that for a very long time, but that's going to be a program that, once again, I think I was putting out there. You mentioned doing something to help those forklift drivers, people who are in your circumstance, 7-8 years ago. I have the same feelings. I mean, I teach a lot of stuff to e-commerce business owners, people who already have a business, but I do want to have some to help people who were where I was, 7 or 8 years ago, feeling the same things I was, feeling a bit trapped with life and all of that sort of thing. I mean, if you're willing to do the work, there's an avenue out of there. Well, there's lots of avenues out of there, but there's one that I know very well. And I have my own spin and take on that. And so that's I want to put that out there to the world. And so that's something that I'm working on right now that'll be available very soon. And same as you, I'm in the process of building some new high-ticket dropshipping sites. Had some new ideas there in the last sort of 6 months. So we're working on those at the moment. And that's what I got going on. I mean, aside from that, surfing, taking life easy when I'm not doing business. That's my deal. So, like I said earlier, I think I live in one of the best places in the world.
Look, I think 2020 did that to people too, right? Like, made them really think, what do they want? Like, usually in the beginning of your business, you're like chasing freedom, right? Like, you want that freedom. Yeah. I think 2020 gave freedom to a lot of people who didn't have it before, more in like they could work from home or, have a different relationship than they used to have with work and with their family. And so I would encourage anybody who's listening who either has a business to change a little bit or who hasn't started to build the business that isn't just going to give you that, like, the escape from like financial doom that most people feel nowadays, to just like build the business of your dreams. Like, John, I call you often, and you surf more than we call. Like, you're always like, you'll cancel a call to go surfing. That's awesome, right? I want people to build a business that allows them to go do what they want to do, and it's not always like. I think in the beginning I wanted millions and millions of dollars. I definitely wanted, fuck you money, as Clint Parker always said. And now it's more like I still kind of want to own the Minnesota Twins. I think that would be the greatest thing to own. Am I likely to get to 1.3 billion or more? I don't know, but maybe I just want to sit behind a home plate for 81 games a year, right? Maybe that's my happy place. And if I built a business that allowed me to do that 81 games all summer long, I'd be thrilled. And so I would encourage everybody to try to build a business that like gives you the ability to have the life you want. Yeah, and I think that's I know it's a question you ask a lot, and that we talk about when we talk personally, but it's an important question. Is like, I think people get started in commerce and earlier on in their journey, they're focused on, well, I want to make this much money, or I want more time or whatever, but often they're not particularly focused on, what do you actually want that for? Right? What are you going to do with that? Okay, so you're going to get it, right? Let's say you get that. What are you going to do?
what is like, because money in and of itself, hitting X number of revenue or X amount of profit in your pocket or whatever it is, what does that actually mean? I think you've got to, because that's what I was focused on in the beginning. I don't think it was in hindsight, it wasn't a particularly useful. It's useful in the sense that it's a hard target. You can measure directly against that in your progress and stuff. But hitting those sort of numbers doesn't necessarily mean your life's any better. It doesn't mean you're any happier. It doesn't mean you've got yourself sorted out internally anymore. And I think adding some of that stuff to the what are you going to do with that? Like, how are you going to use that to actually improve your experience of life and your happiness? For me, like, what's the difference between when I started and where I am now? And not to suggest I'm anywhere near the end of my business journey, but I would say, what am I aiming for more than anything? And it's not really money anymore. And I don't say that because I'm uber rich and I don't need, and I've got fuck you money, as you said. It's just that, it's not really money. I want to be happy. That's it. I just want to have a greater sense of fulfillment and happiness. And if money's involved in that, great. But there's so many other things that are on my list that add to that for me personally, that don't require $1 million a year or whatever crazy number I might aim for.
Yeah, and there's not much difference between like enough money to be satisfied and then like the difference between that and a private jet is there's this huge vacuum of it's all the fucking same, right? And so once you just like get out of money trouble, if you will, or debt or whatever you're feeling, like when you get to a point where you don't have to think about whether you're ordering that next thing on the menu or what, who's going to pay the bill next month, like when that's taken care of, there's not a lot of difference between that and 10 levels above you, if you're honest. So get to that point and just, again, that comes back to circling back to the beginning. Do the work. Just put in the work, put in the time, and just pick a business that you want to do. Don't just go out and if you're an FBA person, don't go on Amazon and find the winning product that you don't even give a shit about, or the dropshipping store that you think you found a winner and you don't care. Like, care about your customers, care about your products, and go build the business you want to build, because the time's going to pass anyway. The business is going to work anyway, and you're going to have a lot more fun doing it.
Yep. And don't be afraid to experiment either. Like in terms of with your business, with trying different things. I get the sense that a lot of people get trapped into the notion that there's some race happening, and sure, some people are trying to escape a job or maybe debt or something like that. They're looking for their business to provide the solution to, but this is a long-term game. Most people who are listening to this, who are getting started or earlier in the experience, probably in their 30s, maybe 40s, maybe even mid to late 20s. There's a long road ahead of you. You got plenty of time, right? You got plenty of time. Try different things. If you don't try different things, you're not going to find the thing you love on the first hit, usually. You might, but I think you've got to be open to trying different things in business. I've tried heaps of different angles on business, and half of them I didn't enjoy. Some of them didn't work. But I think I'm certainly a lot more in love with the business I'm doing now than I was 3 or 4 years ago, just because I'm willing to try adding in new things, trying different things. And I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, I might have been fortunate, at least just loving e-commerce. I don't know about finding the exact right businesses. I've been part of so many, but I might be that lucky one, John. I didn't figure it out until I was 30, right? I was a moron in my 20s and drank myself stupid, and then just kind of stumbled into this e-commerce thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's I'm not even talking about that. I love e-commerce too, but just even within e-commerce, there's just so many different things you can come at it. Maybe you start with high-ticket dropshipping and you don't love that. Well, go and start your own brand. Like you did, with Paramount Pet Health. And by the way, if you've been listening, you're wondering where to get Ben's pet health supplements. If you want to fix your cat, ParamountPetHealth.com. Head over there, or you can find them on Amazon. Still, I'm assuming.
And Chewy, yeah.
Yeah. get over there and buy his stuff. But maybe that's the thing you love. If you don't love something like drop shipping, then maybe you need to find the thing you're passionate about in your life that you can make your own version of, or something that scratches your own itch, like your pet supplements. A lot of that's driven by the health of one of your loved pets, or your only loved pet. Maybe that's the thing that makes you happy. That's what I mean. You got to try different things, try different angles. You don't have to go out of the e-commerce world into like some other sort of business, but just even within there's so many different ways you can do it. You know what I mean?
No, and that's a great segue into where you can find me next is on the BK Show podcast. Literally, this is what I wanted to feature on there is people who are like doing exactly what they love and making a business out of it. So, I just interviewed my buddy TC Poole. He owns Inked Gaming. Not so about like magic cards and Pokemon and trading cards. Made a business out of it, right? I've had other people on, like, I'm just looking through here. Sven Schneider, he owns gentlemansgazette.com. He wears, like, 19s, 20s clothing with, like, cotton ties. Most interesting guy you'll ever see in the room, but he made a giant business out of this. Craig Rizzoli wants to help dads be better dads. He sells backpacks. There's just all over the place on my podcast list of people that do this. And I encourage it. And a lot of my consulting clients are the same way. I consulted astroflave.com. That guy lives and breathes protein powders, and he made the best tasting ones on the market. And look, you can do anything, whatever you're into. If it's underwater basket weaving, whatever it is, like you can make a business out of it. There's a million ways to make a business. It doesn't need to be a high ticket dropshipping store or your own brand. You could have a podcast. You could have a blog. You could have a Patreon. There's so many ways to make money on the internet, and you can do it talking about whatever it is you love talking about every single day. And I would encourage it. I would encourage you to start there. It's just going to make you want to wake up and build your business every single day.
Yep. Awesome. Totally. So nice segue to bkshow.com for Ben's podcast. Is there any other way that people can get in touch with you, Ben? When we follow along with you, I want to hear about your mastermind or authentic e-commerce.
Yeah, I mean,
we have to find out about that stuff when it happens.
Staying on topic, go follow me on Twitter. I enjoy interacting over there, and that's just at Ben Knegendorf. I know it's a doozy to spell. Maybe John will throw it in the comments. Thebkshow.com has all the links. That's where my podcast is. I own benknegendorf.com. If you want to go read some funny copy written by Leanna Patch, check that out. You can read her work on ParamountPetHealth.com as well. And then, AuthenticEcommerce.com just has an opt-in there. You'll get thrown in the bucket with my podcast list, but you'll be segmented for that. If you want to know where that's going to go, you'll be first to know on that list too. But, I don't know. I'm around, man. I appreciate you having me on, John. You and I like to share stuff. John was on my podcast as well. If you want to go hear John's story. What were you, episode number 3, something like that? Yeah. Episode number 6, yeah.
6, yeah. Yeah, awesome. And of course, Ben's in our e-commerce tribe Facebook group. So if you wanna find him, you can jump in my Facebook group there and get in touch with him. I'm sure he won't mind.
No, I love
cool, man. Cool. Well, it's been great to catch up again. I'm sure we'll have you back on in the future. Man. Enjoy your month off in Florida.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Cool, man. Well, thanks everyone for listening and checking it out. We'll be back really soon with another episode of the E-commerce with John Show.